You're listening to the WCEN podcast. Hello, everybody. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for tuning in. You're listening to the WCEN podcast. My name is Peaks. And the reason we are doing this podcast, if you're tuning in for the first time, is to keep the communities and the multi-faith networks informed on services, how to access them, and to keep your spirits uplifted. This is a platform to share and express the needs and experience of what's happening just now, because we're all on lockdown. The world is going through a pandemic. This is the first time this has ever happened. And so this is going to be a place to hear the voices of people who have got influence and can inform people of what's going on and to give them advice. So we're going to be speaking to members of the faith community, people who are maybe nurses, people working on the front line. So anybody who can share their advice and experiences and wisdom in any ways that, can inform and inspire and just to keep everybody's spirits uplifted. So on today's podcast, we are going to be speaking with Imam Suliman Gani. He is from South London, a hospital chaplain and imam at the Pearly Mosque. So, Imam Suliman, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
How are you today, sir?
I am well, thank you very much.
You're sounding quite cheerful, so that's always good to hear in amongst everything that's going on.
Right.
So thank you for spending this time with us. I've just given you a brief introduction, but if you could just give us a bit of history, because it is very rich that you have. And if you can just tell us about yourself growing up a little bit and what led you into the work, and then obviously in the run up to what it is that you're doing currently before this lockdown happened.
I'm generally, if you look at my background, I'm from South Africa, and time passed by during my journey of life, having spent some time in different parts of the world, like a few years in Pakistan, in Egypt, and then in Saudi Arabia, where I completed my studies. And then here in the UK, since the end of 1998, my wife is from Tooting here in South London. And here it is, years of my life spent as an imam there at the Pearly Mosque Tooting Islamic Center in the beginning stages, so until till 2013, where I moved on, and now I am currently an imam here at the Pearly Mosque. But my job and my work as a chaplain here at the hospital, that has continued. And this is basically briefly. I also had a lot of work in partnership with WCEN. And so I would say right now, currently, I'm still an imam and also the chaplain, and therefore I am in a position where I have to be supporting, especially given that with the current climate and situation, I think it has become more challenging to deal with the many of the issues that we are facing currently, unprecedented times. But my years of experience over the years has helped me and has kept me going.
I mean, so you sound like a man who's very much traveled. Can you tell us why you've kind of traveled to various parts of the country and the world, and was it to do with your line of work? What was it that, what was your kind of study life like?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at born there in South Africa, and having spent a time at a young age, we started memorizing the Quran until I reached a certain time in my life that I have memorized and have completed my schooling career in South Africa. But I had that burning desire to understand what I have actually memorized, because we don't know the Arabic language. We are only speaking English and Afrikaans there in South Africa, but we are memorizing the Quran. And it was my mother's hope, that was her only desire, that her children become and memorize the Quran. And this is the amazing miracle. We are in this month of fasting, month of Ramadan, and I was able to memorize the Quran when I reached the age of 16, 17 years of age.
Wow.
So after that, I decided, yes, I need to increase my knowledge and learn and get a better understanding of what I've memorized. And that's what took me on a journey to study there in Karachi in Pakistan, where I spent about 3.5 years. And then I returned to South Africa. I joined an institute in South Africa, hoping to complete my, it's called, you become an imam and a scholar. there in it's called an institute, a place called Newcastle. And then I also had a desire that I really want to get an experience and at least articulate and speak the Arabic language, which took me to Egypt and Cairo, where I spent over 2 years. But during that period, I was fortunate to travel to pilgrimage with my parents and went for an interview in the Islamic University of Medina. And after having successfully taken the interview, it was amazing. It came as an unexpectedly because I was on that year, I still recall, was the only student in the whole of South Africa to be accepted
Wow.
to study in the university there in Medina. So it was an opportunity that came that I would love to stay at a place where lies buried our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and to be living in that place. I was able to spend 4 years, and it so happened the journey of life. My wife was stayed with me. I got married while I was a student, and that's where I had two of my children. First one, my son also was born there in Medina,
Mm.
in the blessed city of the Prophet. And now I'm a father of six children, but you know
Wow.
how.
It's amazing. Congratulations.
Yes. So here it is. I'm in the end of 1998. I decided to back to the UK. Come to the UK. Initial plan was to live in South Africa, but things took a turn. Sometimes brother-in-law needed to get married. We decided to come to UK first to attend his wedding ceremony and then travel and live and stay in South Africa with my parents. But things took a turn. We say destiny, and we speak this. We call it the qadar and destiny. That is, we don't know what is going to happen in the future. Never did I realize or did I anticipate that I will be staying and living in the UK. Then I decided, okay, we'll stay for a few years. I'll at least have a British citizenship, and then I'll go back to South Africa, where everything was set to continue my life with my parents there. But unbelievable as I got, slowly as I started got a position of, we call it the Imam of the masjid there in Tooting or Belham. And thereafter, slowly as the time progressed, I was able to complete my master's in Islamic studies there at the University of London in SOAS, School of Oriental and African Studies. And then I still, so what happens then slowly, I was, as we journey continued, I became a volunteer chaplain at the St. George's Hospital. And then I had opportunity of teaching at the Risala school. So that means my workload started increasing as the time passed by. And then it's like saying, then my children were born and life continued. And
Mm.
before I know it, already almost 2 decades have gone and I'm still here in the UK. So this is the journey of life. I mean, we plan, but we say the Lord Almighty is the best of planners.
Wow. That's quite a journey. I mean, in terms of traveling as well, you spoke about obviously being in South Africa, but once you kind of did your studying and stuff, you thought it was important to travel. So, how did traveling enrich your experience of your religious studies, and how do you see that as important, and what did it really open your eyes to?
Yes, I mean, I think it came with a lot of challenges. There was also a lot of hardships, especially when I traveled for the first time ever outside my birth, place of country, and then you're going to a Pakistan, a strange land, and you're going to an unexpected, is going to a journey in a place that is, everyone is a stranger to me. I think that was really what emboldened or gave me that courage, especially in the beginning. I still recall the years now going back when I landed there in Karachi. There was curfew. We heard that on that day, or the president, Ziaul Haq, he was, the plane crash and the assassination, whatever happened on that very same day.
Mm.
I was just now in a strange country in Pakistan, and everything is new, even to find a place where I'm going to study. I think that in itself, in the first years, also, we became very, very ill and sick, and got many different type of sicknesses while we were a student. All that gave a lot of courage and strength because one is it was my own decision to travel and to study there in Pakistan, and I found that was very, very enriching because as I got to understand the culture, the place, the different language, different way, it did give me and that give me a different perspective to how we would normally continue, especially as you are a student. You get to appreciate and value your parents. You have you are in isolation. You are in such a distant place. I think that was very, very enriching because that's what gave me the experience or the courage. As I look at my life right now, I think the past has had a great impact on how I continue my role, even as an imam, even as a chaplain, whatever my journeys, my experiences, the pain, the hardship, what we had to undergo. And at the same time, there was also going to Egypt, was Cairo, and to stay there for 2 years was a complete different experience to how I studied there in Karachi. So then you get to see how it is to study in a place, in a different environment, different country, and then again in Cairo, and to see how, the different experience you get to know and to meet different people and to understand the different and the diversity of the many of the great scholars in these locations and this part of the world, which also when it took me on my journey to study there and stayed in the blessed city of the Prophet Muhammad for 4 years. Again, another total different experience, which really right now, I think it has really enriched me because when as an imam, I get to see and meet people who are coming from different parts of the world, and I understand when they are and have different and very strong opinions on many matters of the faith and the religion. Yes, the country, the location, the background, all that has has for an imam to be able to be and to play his role and to welcome the different diversity, especially even when it comes to the way we offer our prayers in many different, you will have these differences. I think that in itself, it was a great, it opened and broadened my horizon. That when I meet a scholar who has graduated from the Islamic University of Medina, or I meet somebody who has graduated from the Islamic University in Azhar University, or somebody who has studied in Pakistan, I can understand right now why there is this different opinions in many matters. And this is the beauty. It was amazing, just the journey itself and the experience and the traveling, because part of that it gave me that courage that now when I have a passion that I visited, Jerusalem even over the years since 2006 when I came to the UK. When I think around in total number of times I visited Masjid al-Aqsa is about 10 times. So every year we've been going out for the Hajj pilgrimage, and I'm all the time connected with the people. I was able to even, part of my journey as I'm a presenter also, on the TV. We were able to do live coverage for, millions of viewers on the Islam channels. So all this together, I think, what really gave me that strength, that courage, that confidence was my traveling alone to these distant places. Because when I studied, I had to really be on my own and find my own way. So it gave me that source of independence, courage, and to fight your own battles when you're all alone. Who do you turn to? Your family is so distant away, and that is the when I face certain type of challenges, even as an imam here in the UK. I think that past had really given me that good experience and courage to never give up.
Wow, what an experience. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, in the wake of what's going on now, obviously, this pandemic is the first that any of us really have seen in our kind of generation or anything like that as well. And I can only imagine for yourself, you've been through so many experiences. In the wake of what's happened, we're like going into 7, 8 weeks now of this lockdown. How did you prepare for this? I mean, and what's been the toughest part of the work that you're doing in the wake of what's going on?
Yes, it's quite interesting. When the lockdown happened, and during that time, even I was in South Africa. I was visiting my parents, and I was able to even catch a flight. We had to change our return flight, and was able to get back in time. So coming back on the 24th of March, and since that time, unbelievable how life has significantly changed. It's unbelievable. This is unprecedented. I have never in my entire life have seen the way, especially with this, the way we have to make so great an adjustments. It has had such an impact that not only as an imam, also as a chaplain, I feel that it has caused, as an, really, my workload has exacerbated by this crisis. In fact,
Mm,
not like I'm in a lockdown, I'm sitting home. I feel that even because, an imam, there's a lot of expectations is really heightened.
mm-hmm.
Not only do we have to, I'm still being in contact, and because imam has to be easily accessible, we have to be giving that support. So, in addition to the workload that we already have as an imam, even though we are not at the mosque, but people need answers. People have questions. There is now the issue about, for example, there was discussion about the mosque closure. Okay, that imams have to also give a verdict, a ruling. How do you feel about this? Then there is the issue about the fulfillment of requirement for the deceased. Now, that is another issue because what happens if somebody passes away?
Mm,
And I have been, given that my position and my role as a chaplain, so now given that there are so many families that have been impacted, so now I have this added role that how do I also support the families, given that there's restrictions, not a single family member is allowed to be visiting the COVID-19 or visiting and coming to the hospital. So where is the communication? So
mm,
now Imam has to be communicating with the family. They have to give, I have to give that pastoral support alongside also my regular community engagements. What about the funeral prayers? Only a few weeks ago I had to go and we were part of the soft burial. Soft burial is where 10 individuals were buried in a row, in rows, five in a row, two rows, in a very dignified manner. But this was all in preparation because there was the fear, the worry. There was, it was there was nobody was going to. It was like preparing for the unexpected. What if the numbers of those dying, it is, really spikes? So this was something that had to be dealt with, and going to the cemetery, to the funeral ground. That was at the Eternal Garden. I think that was also captured and recorded by the Sky News.
mm,
So, but then, so what it is like we are looking at the life of the Imam as a chaplain, fulfilling his duties, giving that pastoral support, and then what about the family? It having an impact, and we are in this month of Ramadan, so now we have to try and do a balance. On the one hand, we know that Ramadan is the month of fasting, and also as we said, I memorized the Quran. So now I have a duty also to protect and preserve what I've memorized. So I'm now normally we would be at the mosque and we would be at night. We will be standing at the prayers at night, which is called the Taraweeh prayer, which is done for the entire month of Ramadan, because the month of Ramadan is the month of fasting for the entire month. And we started, and this will continue right until the 23rd of May, where we will go to look for the moon again, for preparing for the day of Eid, that is the day of celebration. So what it is how do we look at our life, and how do we cope? So I think we need coping mechanisms also. But what gives the coping mechanism is the verse of the Quran, where the Lord Almighty says, "Wasta'inu bis-sabri was-salah." You seek help with sabr, sabr, the patience, the steadfastness, and salah, and the prayers. So this is very important to help us to cope with the challenging, unprecedented pandemic, the COVID-19. One is as one who has family, also one who has children. What about parenting? What about those, the issue about loneliness? What about the issue that's really impacting change? Social distancing. How do we, all these matters has really had impact on almost obviously everyone. No person can say that he's not facing certain type of hardship, but there are certain things which are in our control, and there are certain matters which are beyond our control.
My goodness, I mean, the amount of work you sound like you've taken on seems to be quite monumental, quite fitting to obviously what's going on now. So, in terms of you're speaking about everybody else's, the concerns, then everybody has to reach you all the time. You're obviously. Your both titles that you hold. What about yourself? I mean, because obviously the amount you said that you're taking on, you obviously have a family as well, responsibilities, and so how are you yourself coping with everything that's going on, just in a in a personal way? How are you keeping yourself encouraged and, just refreshing yourself at the end of each day if you can? What is it that you're how are you dealing with it? Because I'm sure there's other people with those responsibilities as well on their shoulders that can maybe you can share with them what's working for you.
Yes, when I think like, I had, we have so many families that I've been supporting. Each one is like a story behind each one, and each one has, just for reflection. It was only a few days ago, a young girl, and here again, this is it's now when you have a young girl, the only daughter of a family, and then she passed away in hospital. I had to in fact go 2 times. I had a call from the hospital, and then there is the concern about the PPE, the protective clothing or
Mm,
equipment.
yeah.
Now and then so the family, and then the hospital, and then the nurse, and then going and wearing the PPE equipment and standing and going as close as possible and doing the video calling, and then to try and support the uncle and the mother, the daughter. Yes, she's going to pass away. All that, it does have an impact on one's even own mental well-being, because now you are thinking that was one case. Then there was the other case where I had to deal with a doctor, a well-known doctor here in Pearly. His name Dr. Krishan, and Dr. Krishan, he sadly contracted the COVID-19, and he passed away at the hospital. Now the wife, she kept on messaging me, contacting me, because she came from abroad and she was not familiar, did not have much, people that could give her the support. So it was almost on a daily basis. I had to give her that support. Now, at one hand, this is one case. Now, then there was another. And there's right now there is a young, a father, only 48 years of age, and he has 4 daughters. And you cannot even imagine, when I know the person, my children, when they're going to the Gatton school, and I drop them off, and he also drop his children, and so it's a person that you know.
Mm.
And then when the wife calls you and gives you, gave me the news, I was really, really shocked. And then it does have a, on your own mental well-being, because now when I'm at home and I'm thinking, when I see my own children, and I'm thinking about this person who is in the hospital, he also has his daughters. What impact is having on his own beloved children at home? They are waiting desperately for his return. He went into the hospital on the, on the 12th of April, and on the 14th of April, his own father passed away in his, in the country where he's from. But then, and then after that, his condition deteriorated, and until today, he has been in the hospital. He's been sedated, and he's like, coma, and we don't know what is going to be the outcome. So I think, it's how do we cope? Is we need mechanism of coping, and we have the verse of the Holy Quran. So part of my, we did study, family therapy, and we had a lot of ways of how to deal with many issues. So I think one of the issues is how do we reframe hardships, and we have a very powerful verse in the Quran which gives us that really great hope, because when there is hardship and when there is pain, then it does not really matter whether it is COVID-19 or whether it is for other reason. Many people have underlying conditions, and we have many who are elderly and vulnerable, and those who have passed away. So we understand that there is a verse in the Quran which gives us really great hope and understanding, which simply translate as, we will definitely test you with something that will make you fear, hunger, decrease of wealth, life. وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ, and give glad tidings to those who are patient. So we know that the Lord Almighty, He tests a people, and something that is beyond our control, then we have to have our trust in the Lord Almighty. And He encourages us that to have patience and perseverance. So it is such a challenging time that, when I was able to also be at the bedside of a COVID-19 patient, and to be able to do that video call and show the family, and that, there was another case also, he passed away. Again, I know they were able to see their, the wife see the husband and understand. And I think what gave the real great strength was, to be able to give that support and to be at the bedside and to offer that last, rights for the deceased in this unprecedented times, which is really, really not normal. And the verse of the Holy Quran is in chapter 2, verse 153. وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ, those who are patient and persevering, those whom any calamity and difficulty come upon them, we always have to return to the words, beautiful words, which we always say as soon as somebody has passed away. We say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. That verily we all belong to Allah and we all will return to Allah. So this is a very powerful verse in the Quran. In chapter 2 of the Quran and verse 153 to 157, which is, we've been doing, we have seen so many cases. So I think what happens when I come home, and it does have also my family, also my wife gets worried because she's very, very, we say, particular, and she makes sure that everything is clean. And, when I come in also at home, all of now we have to do social distancing and we have to worry, and so it's there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of concern. So it does have an impact even when I am at home and I'm thinking of what happened during the day and seeing people passing away. The thought does occur to my mind that yes, indeed, this has happened to that person, this has happened to that person. Tomorrow it could be my turn, and how would it be when I'm no longer around? So then it gives me that incentive that I need to also, change my perception of also my communication with my family, my children, and give them that really, the time. And, many a times, I think this is one of the benefit that has come down from this lockdown. We take even our time, and we pass time, and we take life for granted. So I think this has given us, especially given that we are right now in the month of Ramadan, month of fasting, every day we've been breaking and having our iftar with my family. Every night we've been doing the night prayers, and my son also has memorized the Quran. So we share the prayers also in the home, and my children, we all pray at home. So we are able to still follow a structured routine. And that's still giving me I'm really enjoying the blessed month of Ramadan, because I'm still able to keep my fast. I'm still able to offer my 5 daily prayers. I'm still able to appreciate so much of blessings that the Lord Almighty has still given us. Even during this lockdown, we are still have, we have not been short of any type of food. Everything is still easily available. We are still able to go and do, the whatever, we need and requirements are there. And it just has made that adjustment. And I think, time is what we have to now value, because, we said that the most important, especially with these challenging times, is, as the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is reported to have said, he says it beautifully, نِعْمَتَانِ مَغْبُونٌ فِيهِمَا كَثِيرٌ مِنَ النَّاسِ الصِّحَّةُ وَالْفَرَاغُ. That there are two types of blessings which most of the people are negligent of. We don't, we are very heedless about it. And he beautifully said it is siha, which is health, and faragh is the free time. So when we have good health, do we really take advantage of the good health? When that health, a person is physically fit, And yes, indeed, we also have to understand that when we speak about health, it's also about our mental health and well-being. But when this condition change, then only we have that regrets. If only I could have done that. If only I could have done that good work. If only, then it's like saying, take advantage of it before the condition may change. And we are also very heedless and negligent, unmindful about the time that we have. So time is also very, very precious. And this month of Ramadan has given us that opportunity to really come closer, to spending our time with our Quran, with our prayers, and most important is, not to despair from the mercy of the Lord Almighty.
Speaking of Ramadan, you said this is obviously the first time that this is ever being experienced. So, for yourself and for your community, I mean, how is everybody adapting to it? How are you able to maybe still have the experience? Because obviously, family and going to the mosque and everybody's there and being able to share food and all that kind of stuff that goes with Ramadan and stuff. So if you could tell us how you've adapted to it and how your community is handling having to do this on lockdown, and yeah, what are you kind of really learning from that?
Yeah, I mean, when we started our Ramadan, we normally start our Ramadan and that excitement and that feeling of looking for the crescent moon, that is a very, very special, I would say my passion, which I've been doing for over a decade, is where I would go out and do the sighting of the moon to determine the beginning of the month of Ramadan. So, so this is something that I was able to do again, for sighting of the crescent moon, and many people still are connected, especially with the sighting of the crescent moon for the month of Ramadan. So when Ramadan starts now, we have gone as the masjid able to offer a daily radio broadcast which is on a Mixler. So we did not have this facility for the community. So I think this has changed for the masjid and the mosque, that now every day at 1 p.m. And at 8, quarter past 8 from today, we've been doing it every day, 2 live broadcasts, where the community at the mosque, if they would like to continue receiving, messages from the local imam, I think that is very, very beneficial. So that has changed. But what also has changed now, that feeling that how we would normally have the iftar, breaking our fast together in the mosque, that really great feeling. We really miss that experience. But that has changed because now people are making their iftar with their families at home. Then normally we have a routine where we would go back for the night prayers, and this happens every day for an entire month, where one part of the Quran is recited by the imams from memory, and people follow the imam. And this has changed now because not everybody has memorized the Quran. And so fortunate indeed are those who have a memorizer of the Quran in their own home, which is called a hafiz. Like in my home, I'm a hafiz. My son, he is a hafiz, and I have a daughter. She also has memorized the Quran. So we have 3 who have memorized. And so this is a great blessing to be able to continue to do my prayers. But what it is, the community and those that you do normally attend, yes, it will have a great impact because they will not have that great feeling of how it is to be in a mosque, to be listening to the entire recitation. So that has changed a lot, very, very challenging. But that is how we still have to still offer the prayers, but just to use, anyone can lead their own prayers and just do it maybe shortened, whatever portions of the Quran they have memorized. So what really, so the fasting continues. The prayers, 5 daily prayers will continue. Only it is not done in congregation. It is done wherever you are. If you are at home, then that 5 prayers continue. But in addition to that, people should normally they take advantage of this lockdown where they have more time for themselves and they are able to spend more time with the Quran because this is the month of Quran, where we have a verse in the Quran where this entire Quran was revealed in the month of Ramadan. So this is the month of Ramadan, this is the month of Quran. And we have the saying of the Prophet, whoever keeps the fast in the day. So what the fasting means, he keeps away from food and from drink. And also fasting doesn't only mean, obviously there are other medical benefits, and there are many other psychological, social, benefits of the fasting, reminding of the poor. But the fasting, in order to get the true benefit of the fasting, one has to fast with one's eyes, with one's ears, with one's tongue. So it's like saying, don't see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. All these things will help for a person to really get the best out of the fasting in this month of Ramadan, because the month of fasting is more to recharge one's battery, to give him that boost, so that after the month of Ramadan, we are able to continue, with steadfastness on our journey, because this is a journey of life. Everything, there's uncertainty in everything, and because of the uncertainty, even with this pandemic and the virus, but the only certainty that we all have, every single one of us, the only certainty and guarantee we have is that there will come a time, and no person knows exactly when it will happen. No person knows on which part of the land is going to happen, but that will definitely and definitely come, is that the angel of death will come to take charge of our soul. So that is why we all are on a journey, and whatever we can do for today, whatever good we do in the life of this world, we only pray and hope that it will benefit us in the life of the hereafter. So that is another beautiful way of how we, with whatever is happening, and the pandemic, and the sicknesses and illnesses and the hardships, yes, indeed, all these are part of the challenges of the life for the believer, because the believer knows, as the Lord Almighty says in the Quran, أَحَسِبَ النَّاسُ أَن يُتْرَكُوا أَن يَقُولُوا آمَنَّا وَهُمْ لَا يُفْتَنُونَ. Does man feel that he will not be put to a test the moment he says, we believe? And there were people in the past and nations in the past that they were put to a test. So all this is just the test of life. And I think it's a lot of good things have come out, because now, yes, one is saying you can have the family, there's togetherness, there is more, spirit of resilience, there is more togetherness, and people knows that they are not alone in it, and we have to all support each another and, be together in this crisis. So therefore, we should not leave people in isolation. And I think it's also important, especially with this, there are people out there who are vulnerable, who are isolated. There are people who also have many other type of, illnesses, and it can lead to more mental illnesses, especially when you are in isolation. And especially, what about those? So Ramadan is not only that, we are, I can understand with the lockdown, you have to be with your family, but there are other means of how we can still reach out to those in our community, in the society, who are vulnerable. So it's community engagement is really, really important.
I mean, speaking about community engagement, your work with WCEN, so if you could tell us how you come to do your work with WCEN, with the Muslim Network and for Family Care, if you could tell us about that work and that partnership, that would be great. Thanks.
Yeah, I think with WCN, Wandsworth Community Empowerment Network, I'm very also grateful to Mary Gul. He has been the main key person who has been in contact, and we have been known each other for probably over a decade now, while I was Imam there at the Tooting Islamic Center. And our friendship and partnership has continued and up until today, that I can still remember. It was Malik Gul who really gave me that great support, and it was one of my key supporters, especially in the time when I was being made a target and the scapegoat during the mayoral election. If you recall, when the prime minister he accused me, made that allegations against me and all those issues, and during that difficult and challenging time, yes, indeed, the test came, but I seen in Malik and also the support that he had given. So therefore, I have the full confidence and know that when when you are working or in partnership, and the support that you get from even as WCEN, in the work that we do for community outreach work, in the family therapy training that we received, systematic family therapy. I think these projects and what was initiated by Melly Gould, many other issues that we had covered over the years. I think this great initiative of community outreach work, and given that he, with the Wandsworth Community Empowerment Network, uh, bringing together many of the organizations from different backgrounds, different walks of life, different faiths and religions, and coming together and having many meetings over the years. I think that in itself was a great way and means of how we learn that yes, there is the side of humanity where when we assist and support each another, we don't look at our faith and our religion. We look at a people that we are all the children of Adam, and there is this great commonality. So I've learned a lot from the work that with the WCN, and the latest was obviously to receive this, to be equipped and to be given this new skills and training, given that I am an imam and I have to offer many counseling and I have already been dealing with many of the marriages, even in this month of Ramadan. I actually had a Zoom meeting, counseling session only a few days ago, where I was able to use some of the skills that I acquired learning the systemic family therapy, and was able to offer obviously one of these skills and looking at the techniques. Was it a focused solution technique that was adopted and it worked? So many, reframing many of these issues using the skills, I think that was really beneficial. So this is only one part of what we have benefited working with WCEN. The support that we had received was really, I would say, immense. And hence, as an imam, to be able to continue to give marriage counseling, to give support to the community, and to use this newly acquired skills has really enhanced my and given me the confidence to deal with the many of the challenges that people out there are facing. So that's it is, here it is, and we are still, yes, indeed, with the WCN in many of the events where we are able to make some contributions as the position of an imam, which I think really is greatly valued. And we hope this will continue for the many, I don't know how long we have in the life of this dunya, in this world, but we pray the best for the future.
Of course, yeah. So thank you so much for that. And just to end everything, I mean, coming out of this, what would you like to see, maybe implemented or changed for the better? And and how is your kind of outlook on life kind of been affected by this? Was it the same as it was before, or has things changed for you?
Yeah, I think things have changed a lot. So I think this is, when I'm thinking that my personal self, I came and I'm just thinking that look at how, if I had needed to visit my dentist, and the dentist say I can go to the chemist and get, for the filling, the temporary filling, and that again has come off, and I had to do it twice. And I think this only, I'm very fortunate that obviously the pain subsided, and I'm still having a big hole,
Oh,
and can't understand that there are people out there who have different underlying health conditions. There are many people out there who are even scared to go to the hospitals, and even very scared to even visit because of what we have heard, what they have heard from others, that many who have been in the hospitals and sadly for other underlying conditions, and then they were passed on because of the COVID-19. So I think this has changed a lot. There are people who are suffering in silence at home in isolation. They may have the symptoms of the COVID-19, but they are treating themselves, and this is how life has changed significantly. There was, yes, we were greatly concerned and worried when in the initial in the stages when every day we were inundated, there's so many calls and also to visit the graves and the cemeteries. So it has changed, especially when the numbers were restricted, where family members could not even be at the grave to, to see their burial one, their beloved one being, giving them the last final prayers and du'as at the burial ground. But all that has changed so much that we don't know how it's going and what's going to be the future. But obviously, we are at the moment we have seen that there is it has gone to a very low, and we're not getting as even the hospitals are not so busy as it used to be. So we pray and we hope that after every hardship can be eased, there is hope. We don't despair, but I think it has given every one of us, whether a person is an agnostic, an atheist, whether he has a faith or no faith, everyone understand that yes, we have to really value the life that we have. It is like the saying of the Prophet, on the day of Qiyamah and Judgment Day and Day of Accountability, no person will be allowed to move a single step until he has asked 4 questions. So I think this is the real message that we can get out of this coronavirus and the pandemic, because every person, whether he is has a faith or no faith, I think generally as the people of faith and as we follow the religion of Islam, we have this prophetic tradition, which I think can benefit all, that everyone we will be questioned about how did you spend your entire life. So the life that we have and the lifespan that we have, person, whether you are, a young, whether you are in your 30s, 40s, 50s, doesn't matter of your age, because this life, it can come to an end at any time. No person knows how life can change, suddenly. And that is why this has brought great realization for every person when you see those who are practicing the social distancing and this, the sanitizing and washing of the hands, and also making sure, the anxiety that you have, somebody has a cough, and then you're afraid that you might catch all these things has changed in people, the understanding of their life. So I think there is a connection. Normally there is a tendency that we all want to hold on to our life, but that's why we take advantage of this life before death. So no person will be allowed to move the step until he is asked these 4 questions. How did he spend his entire life? How did he spend his youth? Young age, this youth will fade, pass by so very quick. This is a question that we should ask. We should not even be waiting for old age. We don't know. Right now, the question is, how did you spend your youth? So the youth of today, they are vibrant, they have the energy, they are the ones that really can be of great benefit. What they can do while they have this age. Whether it is taking care of the elderly, those who are sick and ill, whether it's doing the shopping for somebody, whether it is any type of good action, charitable action. I think the youth, it is a great message this pandemic has brought, that they have this passion. That I've seen it, when it came to the burial, how many of the youth have contacted and they want to do something and make a difference. So yes, a person will be asked about the knowledge that he has, how far did he practice on the knowledge, and also how far, about the wealth that we have, how do we acquire wealth, where do we spend our wealth. And with this lockdown, and many people have been impacted even financially. So all these things, on one hand, it is, there will be those who are benefiting from the coronavirus and the pandemic, and there are those who who will be again put to a more greater and severe hardship and greater test. And when people lose their work and their job, and people feel financially unstable, then this also, it has negative impact on their mental well-being. So I think it's all about being grateful to whatever blessings that the Lord Almighty has given each one of us. If we are deprived of certain type of blessings, and if there's certain type of hardships, then think about those who are facing even greater hardship when they have really lost their close, beloved, dear ones. Imagine how those families, they may have the other blessings in ni'mah, they may have all of the wealth of, and they may have all what their needs are, but if they have lost somebody during these times, unprecedented times, then I don't think I think that we cannot. It is like saying, then we will really appreciate and value the many of the blessings and ni'mah and bounties that the Lord Almighty has given us all. So let's take advantage of the life that we have before death comes upon us. Take advantage of the youth before old age. Take advantage of the free time before we become preoccupied. Take advantage of the wealth before poverty. And this is it. I'm very grateful to you, Peaks, for inviting me on your wonderful, amazing podcast.
Thank you so much you're extremely busy, so I really appreciate the value that you've added to this and taking your time to, share your wealth of experience and knowledge. So thank you so much. Is there any contact details that you can leave or that anybody can
Yes.
maybe find out more information about anything about your online podcast shows or your services?
Yeah, I mean, you can contact me. I'm easily my. In fact, we've sent a poster out with my mobile number 07947209107. So if anybody out there needs help, support, and whether it is COVID-19 related or not, and it is, generally we are really happy to be easily accessible and to be able to offer the support, especially at the time when there is many, we said the leadership has to be visible. It is not like we have to also just be concerned and worried about our own, family and all that we have, because this is the role of the imam and the chaplain. He has to be, the leadership has to be visible. So I only can ask and pray that the Lord Almighty, He protects us all. We have a beautiful tradition and saying that when it comes to types and looking for protection, then we also seek protection. We beseech our Creator to protect us all from leprosy, from insanity, leukodema, and from evil diseases. So this is a prophetic tradition. So one is we take the necessary precautions, we tie our camel, we do whatever we can, and at the end of it, whatever is destined, we believe in qadr and destiny. It's whatever is already been written is going to happen. So what is already been written is the time and the appointed moment when a person has to leave this temporary abode. So we only can say that yes, do whatever we can today. We cannot procrastinate, and if we are able to offer somebody some help and support, then I think for the believers, and whether it is a person, whether you have faith or no faith, doesn't matter who a person is, only just to remove and to help somebody in a distressful and difficult condition, that in itself can be a means of attaining salvation in a life hereafter. So yes, this is the Imam, always ready to be at your service in whatever capacity I'm able to. So my mobile number is accessible. And I have a Facebook page. If you sometimes I do upload things that I'm doing on Sheikh Suliman Gani. If you want to follow me there on my Facebook, you can also get lots of information there. Even you will see a lot of my past travels. The journeys that I took in different parts of the world. Not long ago, a few months ago, I was there in Uzbekistan. And that was another amazing feeling. We had also planned to go to the Balkans, visiting many countries like Albania and Kosovo and all those places. But with the pandemic, things have changed. All the travels have been cancelled. Even our pilgrimage this year.
Postponed, hopefully postponed.
Yeah. So we don't know about the pilgrimage also. It might, whether it's going to be cancelled this year, but normally that is another worry that we have. This is how life is. Things have changed for everyone worldwide.
Yeah. Well, hoping that obviously with everything that's gone on, you'll be able to reschedule those and have so many more wonderful experiences that you can come back and share, and that we can maybe see on your social medias as well. So we'll leave that information in the box down below so that people can get that. Thank you so much again for sharing your time with us. Be safe, be well, and get a little bit of rest in every now and again when you can. So thank you so much for that, and enjoy the
Thank
rest
you
of
very
your
much.
day. Thank you.
And same to
Take care.
you. Take care. Bye. Stay
Bye.
safe.
Stay safe too. Bye. So thank you so much. That was Imam Suliman Gani. And if you want to contact him, all the information will be left down below. So that was very insightful. So information will be down there. If you want to leave any comments, feedback, tips, or experiences yourself, then please leave them in the comments below. Alternatively, you can email us on info@wcen.org.uk. You can also go and check out the website and sign up to the newsletter to keep informed about when the next podcast show is coming out and other recent news and more helpful tips. That's on www.wcen.co.uk. If you want to find out the latest government and healthcare guidelines, then please check out www.gov.uk or check out www.wandsworth.gov.uk. If you found this helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. Send it to somebody else as well. So thank you so much. Be safe, stay well, and we'll catch you on the next podcast show. You're listening to the WCEN podcast.